Thank you for this class. Very nice class. A couple of things. One is when we chant the Panchatattva mantra before the Mahamantra, we do so as a way of taking shelter of the Panchatattva. But how to actually take shelter when we recite it so that it isn't merely recitation.
Well, if we can, before chanting, if we can prepare our mind, and that's why actually Srila Prabhupada, before the chanting session during the Mangalarti, he has us go through these Mangalartis of Mangalacharan prayers, taking shelter of the Guru, then taking shelter of Lord Nrsingadev, taking shelter of Tulsi Devi, chanting the 10 offenses. This is actually preparing our mind to come in the mood of taking shelter. The Mangalacharan prayers remind us, Samsara Dava Nala Lidha Loka. It's a forest fire. And therefore I need to take shelter of the Guru. And through Guru to Krishna, take shelter of Krishna, take shelter of Tulsi Maharani. Tulsi Maharani, we pray, I'm so sinful, but you are so wonderful that you can fulfill all the heart's desires to serve Radha and Krishna. Please help me. Help me avoid these offenses. And if we meditate on these artis, not just do them ritualistically, but truly meditate on the meanings of each and every word that we are singing, that will have the effect of bringing us in the proper mood when we sit for chanting. Srila Prabhupada didn't put the artis before the japa session during the morning program just because it's ritualistically something good. No, this was all a planned thing. Srila Prabhupada personally designed the morning program where you can, if we follow the entire morning program, we are doing all the 64 practices of devotional service, 64 items of devotional service. So, but if we just be mindful when we are chanting these prayers and meditate on the meaning every day, then we will automatically come in the mood of taking shelter. And then we say, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Then we will actually be able to take shelter. We cannot take shelter unless we feel that we need shelter, unless we feel that we are in a situation where we are helpless. So all these artis, these Vaishnava songs and prayers, they lead us they wake us up to the reality that we are taking shelter right now of sinking stones. Let's take shelter. So the more we meditate on these prayers, the more we will be able to take shelter of the Hare Krishna mantra, of the Panchatattva mantra. And then Panchatattva will help us take shelter of the Hare Krishna mantra, like that.
Yeah, I think what I need is maybe a paraphrase of this phrase, taking shelter. Like when we take shelter of this or that, another way of saying that would be, I'm trying to think. Well, I don't know. Maybe what's the meaning of taking shelter, the Panchatattva?
Oh, the meaning of taking shelter of Panchatattva?
Or anything.
Right.
Taking shelter of Tulsi, taking shelter of Panchatattva, taking shelter of this or that. What do we mean by that?
Oh. The meaning of, it's like, it's like if you're walking in scorching sun, and suddenly we find a tree. We go inside the tree, take the shade of the tree to save us from that scorching sun. So in effect, taking the going into the shade of the tree is like taking shelter of the tree. The tree is there already giving shelter. It's just that we were not taking shelter of the tree. So Krishna is already eager to give us the shelter, his shelter, but we are not taking that opportunity to accept his shelter. So in it's in that way. So we are scorching with so many material desires of, even we are in distress with happiness as well, and we are in distress with distress as well. So taking shelter means to realize that there is that we cannot find happiness anywhere else. That's what it truly means to take shelter. To realize that I belong to Krishna and Krishna belongs to me, and therefore I have to build a relationship with him. So taking shelter means building a relationship with Krishna. And when you're in a relationship, we don't cheat. Otherwise, it affects the relationship. Although we've been cheating for a long time with Krishna in terms of we have a relationship from Krishna's side. He is always fulfilling his part of the relationship, but we are always trying to go out and have relationship with other things, material things. But taking shelter means to realize that we are in a relationship with Krishna first and foremost. And so I must do things that foster that relationship and avoid things that do not that are harmful for that relationship with the holy name. So it is said that taking shelter or Sharanagati is a thing which says that there are 6 limbs of Sharanagati. How can you know that you are taking shelter? How can you know that you are taking Sharanagati? It says, Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam uh, gopatritve there Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishvaso gopatritve varanam tatha uh, atma nikshepa karpanyam shadvidha sharanagati. These are the 6 things, 6 elements of taking shelter. And this can be a whole class in itself, but in short, um, is to do things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness. Anukulasya sankalpaha and pratikulasya varjanam. To not do things that are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness or unfavorable for our developing our relationship with Krishna. And once we do these 2 things, then we will automatically develop faith. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso, to have always faith that Krishna will protect me. And this faith will come when we are doing these 2 things. And if we do these 2 things but then don't have faith that Krishna will now protect me because I'm doing these 2 things, then we are not really sheltered. If we are still fearful that, oh, so many situations have come, what will happen, this, that, then that means we have not taken shelter. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso gopatritve varanam tatha. And we are actually thinking that we are dependent on Krishna. This dependence on Krishna is very important. Feeling depending on Krishna, meaning we are not depending on any person, we are not depending on any demigod, we are not depending on any favorable situation. We are depending on Krishna, come what may, just like the Pandavas. When there were good things or bad things, they were just depending on Krishna for whatever happens, and just focus on fostering their relationship with Krishna, focus on doing their bhajan, and Krishna will take care of everything else. Shraddha kore vishwas, শ্রদ্ধা শব্দে বিশ্বাস করে সুদৃঢ় নিশ্চয় কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি কইলে সর্বকর্ম সিদ্ধ হয়, which means Shraddha, or that faith or dependence on Krishna, is the Vishwas, is the confidence that if I just do devotional service, all other things will be taken care of. Then Atma Nikshepa Karpanyam. These are the last two. Atma Nikshepa is completely offering ourselves to Krishna, and Karpanyam with humility. Humility means just being honest that, all credit goes to Krishna, that no credit comes to me. It's not because of me, it's because of Krishna's mercy. Actually, I don't deserve it, but He's still giving me. That's humility. And therefore, humility means being grateful. So if we are taking shelter, we should check, are we doing these six things? If we are not taking shelter. And if we are, and if we want to take shelter, then we should do these things. Then we know we have taken shelter of Krishna. Does that address your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for being so thorough.
Okay.
So I understand that taking shelter means having that sense that I'm totally dependent on my relationship with Krishna for my well-being, right?
Yes. And not on anything else. That is...
Yeah, not on anything else. So when we say, for example, so that's taking shelter of Krishna. And so then when we say that we should take shelter of Tulsi Maharani, for example, then how do I apply it there? The same, how do I apply that?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. When we now Tulsi Maharani and Panchatattva, they are all taking shelter of Krishna. So taking shelter of Tulsi Maharani or Panchatattva or Guru means ultimately taking shelter of Krishna, because they are 100% dependent on Krishna. They are 100% doing all these 6 limbs of Sharanagati. So if we take shelter of someone who is taking shelter of Krishna, that means we are trying to learn from them, and we are asking and begging for their blessings to take shelter of Krishna in our relationship with Krishna, to help us in build our relationship with Krishna too. And when we build our relationship with Krishna, we also realize our relationship with Tulsi Maharani, with Panchatattva, with every living being in this universe, through that relationship with Krishna. So taking shelter of Tulsi Maharani also means taking shelter of Krishna, because Tulsi Maharani is taking shelter of Krishna. And if you do these 6 things to Tulsi Maharani, which means if you are dependent on Tulsi Maharani, if you are grateful to Tulsi Maharani, with humility, you are saying, Tulsi Maharani, I need your mercy, because I'm not even qualified to approach Krishna. And if we are doing things that please Tulsi Maharani, anukulasya sankalpa, and not do things that displease Tulsi Maharani, what will please Tulsi Maharani? If we perform devotional service to Krishna and be respectful to devotees and avoid offenses. And what will displease Tulsi Maharani? If we take shelter of anything else other than Krishna. So if you apply these 6 limbs of Sharanagati to even taking shelter of Tulsi Maharani, taking shelter of Guru, and make sure that you're doing these 6 limbs of Sharanagati, then ultimately you will end up taking shelter of Krishna anyways. But in short, just apply these 6 limbs to whoever you're taking shelter of. We can also choose to take shelter of our uh, bank balance, or of our take shelter of our beauty, or take shelter of our health. And we can apply these 6 limbs. We can anukulasya sankalpa. We can do things favorable for our health and not do things unfavorable for our health. And we can have faith that our health, if we keep good health, everything will happen. And we can do that too. But that is going to disappoint us if we take shelter of just anything material, our health, our beauty, our knowledge, or even our bank balance, because that's also taking shelter, applying these 6 limbs, but that is like taking shelter of sinking stone. You can also apply your relationship with the sinking stone, but it's not going to help you. It's going to disappoint us. That's why that's the root cause of our suffering and misery, is because we are taking shelter of all these things other than Krishna or his devotees, pure devotees. So now our real happiness is to apply these 6 limbs of Sharanagati to Krishna, to all the things related to Krishna.
Yeah, trying to follow the 6 limbs is to take shelter of, is the same as taking shelter of Tulsi and the Panchatattva, because that's what they want us to do.
Yes.
So basically, when you take shelter of somebody, you're basically just following, is equivalent to just following their instructions for you.
Yes, but following the instructions to build a relationship. We are not just following instructions for the sake of following instructions, because we want to have give it a personal form, have a relationship, just like we have a relationship with a person, and we commit to that particular person, and then we don't stray, or we don't cheat. And if we cheat, then there are consequences and things like that, and all of those things, and then that relationship gets hurt. But similarly, the same thing happens with our relationship with the holy name. If we do any offenses, it affects our relationship with the holy name. The holy name feels bad, but Krishna is so merciful. For lifetimes after lifetimes, he is still continuing to forgive us and continuing to be willing to accept us. Now it's our turn to turn to him and him alone. So if we take Krishna consciousness as a relationship, that'll keep things in perspective, and it'll become more personal than if we take it just as a process. It's a process, but it's a process to build a relationship. It's not just a process for the sake of process.
No, sir. No, sir. Yeah. Thank you for patiently answering
Thank you.
this question, Prabhu.